things and everything. Okay, so well, it's on the screen. Ammon Johns, internet marketing consultant. Ammon Johns. .com. Okay, Ammon. Just you told me you started in 1995. I thought
Yep.
that the internet wasn't there yet.
Oh, it had been around for a few years, and bulletin board servers before the web, of course. Um, it was there. I was working shift work, which is I was getting home at 2, 3 in the morning in the early 90s, and
Shift worker, what you were working for supermarket or something, like a cashier?
London Transport. I worked for the London
What?
Underground.
Can you elaborate what you were doing for London Underground, or it's a state secret?
Oh, it's a state secret. Officially, I was just one of the many station staff at Leicester Square Station in London. Um, I happened to be very good at doing the platform announcements and general security things, what they called station duties. So I was kind of the
Okay,
patrol guy.
so when did you finish your London Underground
I
career?
I actually had some health issues, partly to do with the shifts, and it made things very awkward. And I had to face the choice between, um, just giving up the job and trying a different field. And I moved into IT support with London Transport briefly.
It's why you knew as in a fourth round, because I remember our conversation some time ago, and because I started with fourth round, yeah, more or less finished with fourth round, and you started with fourth round because it was along the underground user fourth round. But it still is using fourth round, is it?
I didn't use Fortran, but the modeling system that they use to predict traffic flows and to whenever they're planning to have a new station or a new route, the number system that they run that models what will happen as they adjust the frequency of trains or buses or anything like that is Fortran that the program runs it.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, let's come back to SEO or digital marketing, whatever. I don't think SEO, what we understand SEO, existed in 1995.
No, no, it was about 98 that term started to catch on. Before that, it was simply called web promotion. And there were some very early forums that were discussing some of it. There were a lot of email lists and things like that. But we were really in 96, 97, we were just looking at all of the ways of getting traffic.
Yeah,
So
but
this is why today I still say I do web marketing. I don't just do SEO.
yeah, but I guess nowadays everyone says they're not SEO, they're digital marketing and everything, because SEO, how I understand, SEO is one part of it, as content marketing as well, social media marketing, which we will talk about mostly today. What anything else?
Oh, they're
Uh,
always adding new things that they claim SEO or social. It, it's one of those things. We have a lot of people who came into SEO from web design, and they were much more computer types and analytics types. They knew the maths, they understood the programming side. They weren't traditionally, marketing people or salespeople. And so every time they meet something that matches what they're doing now, they assume it's part of SEO because they don't realize that marketing is much broader than they've ever thought.
but usually SEO, people talking about SEO is a kind of technical, as more technical things. As you put it hrefs here, you put follow, no follow, these things, and the magic, yeah. So you just change on page things, off page things, and you got it. So people usually talk about SEO as a technical stuff. Is it still correct?
It depends how you view it. I have always believed that rankings without clicks are useless and clicks without conversions are useless. So if you aren't optimizing not only for the engine but for the people who use the engine, I've always thought that you're not really doing SEO. There are people who make the argument that as long as you rank well, even if it gets no clicks, even if it gets no conversions, they've still done their job of SEO.
Yeah,
It's not my place to define the word.
I guess nowadays it's very difficult to be high ranking and have no conversion. Yeah, you will be just down. Even Google doesn't confirm it, but yeah, everybody knows it.
It certainly is more difficult, but it has always been a thing that, you know, even today, there are a lot of SEOs who don't really worry about the conversions as much as perhaps they should. They don't worry about the human factors as much as they should. And there's a lot of things where when they do think about humans, it's much more about manipulating them than about the long-term marketing to them. So we
Uh,
get clickbait.
Yeah, but still, well, if we'll talk about, for example, it's not today, but link building. Well, in United Kingdom, most of the businesses in the United States, I'm much more east. I'm in an area which here called RUNET, which is mostly in Russian language, and people here still believe that link building, I mean, in very technical. So buy link from here, put link from there, just put enough links and it works. People do believe. Yeah, well, I won't tell which particular company. I'm pretty sure in every single company here, yeah, it still believes that it works. What do you think?
If you throw enough links at something, it will still work. Yes, absolutely. Is it the most efficient and therefore is it optimal, which is part of our job title? No. Most of the time, companies that go out getting thousands of links have wasted about 80% of their time because all of those links they've got, all those thousands, there are only 3 that are doing the job. And if they knew, they could have just gone for those 3 and been down the bar or doing something more useful with the rest of the time.
Yeah, more useful if you can do more useful. This is a problem because buying links or arranging links, put it this way, because sometimes it's not buying, sometimes it's some kind of exchange or something. It seems to be kind of a straightforward process and easy because when we talk about content marketing, I've so many times I've read it. To produce brilliant content, no problem. The problem is to sell it. I disagree. Produce brilliant content is a problem because most of the content is rubbish.
Yes. And there's an extent to which I say that, you know, the standard advice, just make great content, is useless to people because everyone thinks their content is good. If they didn't, they wouldn't have made it in the first place. We're the worst judges of how good our content is. The real proof of how good your content is how well it does. And if it doesn't do well, that's not because you've got brilliant content and this and that happened. It's because your content wasn't good enough.
Yeah, well, well, everyone says it's too much content. And I agree. It's just enormous amount of content, especially if you're talking about blog articles. Less videos probably, and less even podcast probably area where you can still play. But articles is just I don't know. It's a millions articles every day. So it's just impossible. So content marketing is probably became as difficult as anything else.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's still not every day we find a good article. Even though there's millions and millions of articles, even though I've got good streams and I know people and they're always recommending pretty good stuff, even then, a lot of it is, I've seen this before. Yeah, okay, that's just rewording this that I've read 10 times before. There's not that much great content. And when something great comes out, it still does very, very well.
But is it because people believe that quantity is more important than quality?
Partly. And partly it's that they believe they have to do quantity. There's a lot of advice these days that, you know, you must publish every day. You must publish several things every day. You've got to tweet at this time and you've got to do this at this time and everything to a schedule. And the truth is, a great post will take you a week or 2 weeks to make one post. So that idea of posting every day, forget it. That's never going to create even one piece of great content.
Yeah. Okay. It's all about content marketing. Let's come back to social media marketing. What we want to talk about. Actually, well, I'll ask a stupid question. What's the difference between content marketing and social media
Well, this is certainly where it does get interesting. I mean, content is the thing that people want to know about. Social media is much more about the interaction. It's about the people instead of about what they want. It's about who they are, and how they want us to be. And I think a lot of people, the first place they go wrong with social media is immediately seeing it as another place to publish. You don't need another
marketing?
place to publish. You've got thousands of places to publish, and social media has only one difference over Blogger and LinkedIn articles and all these other things. Most of the time, it's a smaller playground. That's it. It's got less people. Social media,
Well,
even the biggest platform, is smaller than the web itself because it's only a part of the web.
well, from this point of view, of course, even taking into account that Facebook is what half of the web or similar size.
It sometimes seems that, and to certain people, yes, Facebook is half of their entire internet activity. But those
Well,
people are not often very serious users of the internet. They'll buy the odd thing, but not very many things.
because why I ask this stupid question about content marketing and social? Because I look at my Facebook and a line and I see basically the same articles I've seen right in Twitter and everywhere. So basically, people use a lot of people using mass using medias like Facebook or Twitter just to share some articles. Sometimes not even their articles. Actually.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the things, and this is why I'm saying this is the mistake. Social media, its main value isn't for you to talk, it's for you to listen. I've worked with a lot of marketing companies over the years, and I used to work with some market research companies. And before the internet, the standard thing was if a company wanted to know anything about whether a product was going to work or what people were going to think of it and get some refinements before beta testing, what you did was you hired a panel. Now, to hire a panel of people, a market research company would charge £50,000 UK. That's about $80,000. You can work out your own conversions from there. And that would get you a group of maybe 10 people and a couple of experts to make sure you weren't biasing the decisions. And they'd ask some questions, and you'd get a full report on how people have reacted to this thing from there. In other words, you got less information than social media is giving you all of the time if you just open your ears. And that was £50,000, $80,000. This is how much social media is worth to you. That's not about how much you publish, that's about how much you listen. And the first thing anybody should be doing with social media, don't publish one thing until you've got your listening strategy right, until you're not only listening to the people talking about you and your company and your brands, but also the people who are talking about issues and problems they have that your business serves. So if you had a cleaning company, any talk about cleaners or cleaning in the office is stuff you should be listening to, because there is going to be information in there about the problems people have, about the services they wish they had, about the things that products don't do that they wish they did. In other words, free ideas on how to make the product that everybody already wants to buy, that you don't have to then sell hard because they're already just saying, please, somebody do this, take my money.
Yeah, very interesting. So I just wanted to ask you any a couple of stories. Yeah, just stories you were involved. I mean, what's nowadays they like to call case study. And just tell me a story. So you were involved, or somebody you personally know. Some success, not big one, not necessarily doesn't matter scale, but successful use of social media marketing.
Well, let me go old school for the first example, because we tend to think of social media as social networks, and it's not. The internet itself is social media. The whole thing was built for people to talk to each other all over the place. and the bulletin boards, the forums were all social media. They just didn't have somebody else's logo at the top. So understanding that forums were one of the first forms is certainly very interesting, and everything that was known about managing forum communities should apply to your social media today. But I'm going to talk about community management within a company, with a company that needed, they were user-generated content. It was a consumer review site, and we had 20,000 UK members. There were more members in the German site, the Spanish site, the Italian site, the French site. So we had these companies all over Europe, each with their own language versions, and we asked people to give their opinions on products. The interesting part was, of course, user-generated content is user-generated content. It tends to be very, very variable. So the first thing we needed to do was actually do some social engineering. And this is where you let people know the kind of content you want and why it's in their interest to produce it. So we started to give more feedback, more honest stuff, to talk about our business plans and how people that took the time to write long and interesting reviews that gave enough facts so that even if somebody has a different opinion to you, they can see there is a difference of opinion, and there is enough fact in there to decide whether this suits them, even though it didn't suit you. Those are the things that make a good review. And if the review is good, more people see it. If more people see it, then the users got more views, and more views meant more finance because they got a share of money that was related to the amount of traffic their reviews got, the number of ratings they got, things like that. All of these things helped the users to see what was wanted of them. Setting expectations is one of the big things in all forms of social media. When we meet people in the street, we usually know what we want of each other. If somebody says hello to us, we know the relationship we have, so we know whether they just want to have a nod of greeting, yes, I acknowledge you exist, hello, or whether it's, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. Hey, tell me, how's the wife? How are the kids? How's the job going? Has your leg get any better? You know, we understand these things. In social media, we don't necessarily understand the relationship that our customers want to have with us. And a lot of companies kind of think, I don't know why, but they think that everybody out there just wants to be their friend. Well, most companies don't treat us like friends. They treat us like customers.
We don't think, especially big corporations, are friends. You can't call Coca-Cola your friend, or I don't know, Google, for example.
Even the smaller companies, though, so many of them want to talk at us instead of with us. They want to tell us things. They're not interested in our opinion unless we're saying nice things about them. That's not a friend. So it doesn't matter how much you pay or how many people click friend or like, or it's meaningless because they don't like you. They're just doing whatever it took to get that discount that you were giving away to everyone that likes your page, or they're just indicating to their friends, oh, I like this, I use this. But it's not for you, it's for their social standing with others. It's to let other people know what they like. So you need to understand this, that the relationship you have with customers is often not what you think it is. And the first thing you need to do that's active on social media after your listening strategy is to use that to determine how people do think of you, and then start to change that. Set expectations. Discover what they want from you and what would make them see you more as a friend and less of a company that wants to talk at us. And when you start doing those things, you can deepen that relationship and start to create a real relationship with your customers, to create a sense of community.
Yeah, everybody is talking about community, creating community today instead of just communicate it, or even just all standard, just publish news about yourself. Uh, what about these forums? Do they still exist, or they all move to social networks like Facebook or Twitter?
Oh, they certainly still exist. Creator site forums, where I was for so many years, is a lot quieter than it used to be, but it's still got a handful of people. Webmaster World still has conversation there most of the time, although some of it has gone behind a paywall. Syndicate is still quite active. That's a black hat forum. So there's quite a few forums out there, and there's a lot more that are what we call pseudo forums. They're private group discussions, and to all intents and purposes, it works like a forum. People start a thread, there's discussion on the thread. That's a forum.
Yeah, that's becoming kind of elite clubs or closed clubs. But I guess still, when everybody says social media marketing, most of the people they think about Facebook, Twitter, well, Google Plus. I don't really think so. It's kind of elite club and a small one. So we are talking basically Facebook number one, is it?
Still, for size, definitely, Facebook is the number one. However, just because Facebook has the most people doesn't mean it has the most influence on those people. There are a lot of people who have Facebook because everyone expects them to have Facebook, and they hardly spend any time there. There's a lot who have really learned to filter out most of the stuff that's in their streams. They just interact with a couple of groups there. So Facebook isn't necessarily what people think it is. And there are people, of course, who use Facebook primarily for the games, and they only interact within the games. They've got no idea what articles have been posted.
Yeah, I doubt many people really read articles. It's my personal opinion. A lot of people click like on an article of what your friend or somebody you know or some Facebook friend uploaded, and people even share without reading. I don't know. I don't have a statistic, but I think reading is very low. Not many people. Probably in Google Plus, people read more, but Google Plus is much smaller. But when you talk to people, so many people say, "Oh, yeah, Facebook is I don't like Facebook. I have to be there. I like Google Plus, but it's there is no business there." Is it what your opinion as well?
Facebook is remarkably like Twitter. It's mostly about people going there to see what their friends are up to and what people they know are up to. It's kind of the news headlines for us. It's our people we know and things that we've opted into, what's happening with them today. And we're looking at headlines, we're looking at little bits of detail. We're not interested in long stories. This isn't a newspaper. We're just scanning the headlines kind of thing. And when you've got interesting headlines, Facebook can do quite well, provided you are somebody that people are interested in.
So you think if headlines is interesting or image is correct, people will click and read? You think so?
Yes, yes, but the interest can be narrower. So gaming companies, things to do with leisure tend to do very well because Facebook really isn't about business.
Yeah.
Very few of us even talk business on Facebook.
But from this point of view, it seems to be there is no difference between what you're saying, no difference between Twitter and a Facebook. So basically the same. If headlines is good, I click. If it's not good, it's just gone. So it seems to be no difference. But Facebook is doing well, remarkably well, and Twitter seems to be well from bad to worse.
Twitter is more important with the influencers than Facebook. And there is some big money going on for, paid content from influencers for Twitter, the same as there is for YouTube. Facebook, there's very little of that. There are very few people who are famous on Facebook who make a lot of money, unless they're also famous on Facebook because they're famous on some other channel that's worth something. So there's a lot less of that. Facebook has games, and because it has games, it has the statistics that, oh look, people spend hours on Facebook. Yes, they do. They're playing Scrabble, they're playing with Farmville, they're playing with something else, and they're doing that for hours. They're not reading articles for hours. They're not reading their friends list for hours.
Yeah, that's what's my impression. So it's interesting. Just could you elaborate on this paying influencer in Twitter? So I mean, for example, well who is influencer? We know who is influencer. So for example, I call I can call Ren Fishkin, but if I call Ren Fishkin, say Neil Patel. Okay, Neil Patel. Call Neil Patel and say, okay, I have $10,000 for you, and I need I don't know 2 tweeters, 5 tweeters, whatever. It works this way. without names. Yeah, just
Kind of, but add a couple of zeros to the sum involved. Honestly, these things can be incredibly expensive, but very big companies are certainly paying a lot to some of the Twitter stars. Recently, one of the car manufacturers gave, if I remember rightly, 100,000 euros and a car to somebody to drive it for a few days and put up YouTube videos of them driving it. Now, I believe they took the car back, but we were still talking about a couple of £100,000 spent to get this seen by, well, millions of people.
yeah, but you have to be like a kind of extremely popular figure, I guess, in order to get this kind of money. I guess SEO is not like not exactly like I don't think. Or there are big companies which would offer SEO stars, SEO gurus a lot of money for a couple of Twitters or YouTube video.
I wouldn't be surprised if people were prepared to offer around risking quite a lot of money to post things, but you know, our industry, most of them are too cheap. It's kind of, can I post this for free? No. we certainly get a lot more of those. Very few people. They try and convince us that, oh look, we're going to give you this spammy article that we've also given to 5 other sites for a link. Yeah, no. That's not going to happen. So it's simply that our industry isn't very awake to this, but the big money is going there already because YouTube and certain Twitter channels have as much reach as television. And I don't mean they've got 5,000 followers. I mean they've got 50 million followers. And, you know, that's when it starts to get very interesting for marketing.
Okay, so let's talk about Twitter a little bit. Everybody's saying the future is not orange, yeah, for Twitter. So and it's not even blue. It's green. Yeah. What's your vision of future for Twitter? Where should it go to survive, or you think it's just fine?
The interesting thing with all of the social media is because people spend so much time there, the prediction at the moment from a lot of people is that the future isn't search engines, it's bots. It's a helper on Twitter or, you know, a helper on Facebook or a helper on Snapchat that you can, in the middle of one conversation, you can just ask it a question and it will find you the answer. You can ask it to book you a flight somewhere and it will book you that flight. That helpers are the big way forward, and certainly bots in all of these things, automated programs that can take actions for you, that act as a virtual assistant, is certainly where a lot of money is going at the moment. And it's been very interesting that Google, they've been kind of a little bit behind. Yes, there's Google Now. Their only real chat application is Hangouts, of course. We are expecting to see some big changes there, perhaps.
It sounds like Google and Twitter perfect match. Google buy Twitter, which is not doing very well financially. Google has plenty of money, no problem, and can do exactly what you said. So just put the software. So we're chatting in Twitter, chatting about coffee, and they offer me, I don't know, where the nearest, I don't know, great coffee shop or whatever. Is what you mean?
Well, it's interesting because there is one social media platform people miss as a social media platform, but it's huge. It's maybe the biggest of them all. It's called YouTube.
Yeah,
And if you watch some of the vloggers and the interaction they have and the length of the comment streams, you suddenly realize, yeah, to a lot of people, YouTube is a social media channel.
YouTube the same time as a search engine. I think it's a second search engine in terms of how many queries they do.
Yeah. So it would, in a lot of ways, make more sense for Google to work from YouTube than to buy in another platform that maybe it's unlikely that it's completely compatible with Google software.
Yeah, well, this is I don't know obviously, but not every. Well, I've done I'm hosting a lot of webinars and everything. But we had this conversation with Arish Wanda, I think, over Twitter. Not everyone for video and not everyone for long video. So a lot of people, for example, if I want to learn something, I would most likely to read it. For me, it's kind of easy and more adjustable. So YouTube is one thing, and Twitter could be completely different.
But we use YouTube in what for most YouTubers is completely the wrong way. We tend to do 30-minute and hour discussions, which are at least two times as long as they should be for YouTube. YouTube content should be between 5 minutes and 15 minutes long.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So for this conference, we will have in a few days we have Eric Enge and Mark Traphagen, and they're doing video, which is every video is 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's what you're talking about.
Exactly that. And you can be incredibly successful when you keep it to that format, because YouTube is mostly about the short, succinct, quick answers, which is much more comparable with reading. Yes, I could read it in 2 minutes, or I can watch the video in 5 minutes and do something else while listening to it. And it makes sense then. But when it's an hour and to read the transcript might only take 10 minutes, well, you start to see the difference.
Yeah, this is absolutely agree. But still, a lot of things you can't use video for everything. For example, if I want to buy tickets, video won't help. Yeah, I know how the aircraft looks like. I don't really care. I just need to see a schedule and the price.
Yes, yes, most of the time, yes. Video can still be useful because you can have a quick visual of where they need to go to check in, what the process is, how they get from the check-in to the departure gate. That kind of thing can still be useful. Nobody's
Well,
really done it yet.
video is very useful. For example, for some kind of newish product. I don't know, some artificial intelligence inside a vacuum cleaner. Yeah, and you see the video, you understand what's the difference. But when you want to buy it, you won't not go use video. You're gonna use, I don't know, some price comparison site or something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe
there's certainly that. But video chat can still be quite useful in those situations where customer support, where you can see the person you're dealing with. It's not just some voice on a line. That can still be very powerful in giving customers more faith in the answers they're given. They can see the compassion in the eyes of the person they're talking to. They can see that, this person actually gives a damn.
yeah, well, I have a kind of mixed feeling
Yes.
because, well, maybe you want to see a customer who is, maybe you don't, and sometimes you don't want to, they see you. Yeah, maybe you're not dressed fully. I don't know. Okay, so you don't. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm buying vacuum cleaner and I'm in my house.
Well, I'm not saying you have to have a video. I'm just saying that the customer support representative can be seen.
Yeah, well, yeah, I
Yes. You don't need to have video two ways. That would be too much bandwidth. But outgoing video, I don't see any harm with that. Even if it was just taking a snapshot every 10 seconds or so, just to show you this is a real person in a real office.
So you think, yeah, because of probably technical problem potential, or they already know about it, Google is not gonna buy Twitter, even it seems, well, kind of logical. You think the technical problem is a major point?
It's not that. Google have bought products in the past, and they've never been shy to buy something. When they wanted YouTube, they went out and bought YouTube. When they wanted DeepMind, they went out and they bought DeepMind. Google is not shy to buy companies. It hasn't bought Twitter. That tells me they're not going to buy Twitter. If they were going to do it, they'd have done it. The news would have been not, oh, is Google thinking about it? It's, my God, Google have just bought this company we've never heard of called Twitter. 10 years ago, it would have happened long before now. Google are a forward-thinking company. Is it because they intended to build their own? Maybe. Is it because Twitter doesn't have quite the right thing for that? If the price was right, they'd probably buy Twitter. But if the price was that right, there'd be other people bidding for it anyway. I don't think Twitter is as much use to Google as people think it might be. Google have the seeds to have much of the same stuff. What's really useful to Google about Twitter is that people use it to break news. And when you want to know that a word has just changed in meaning radically, Twitter is brilliant for that data.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
You know,
Google is
feel
not.
the burn. Feel the burn is this term that came up in America. We've all heard it around the world. If you were watching Twitter, you could understand that that new phrase had come in and what it applied to within 30 minutes. And that's the kind of speed that Google needs to be able to react to the changing of language, the way that particular things relate to specific entities and concepts. You know, that's where this whole direction has been going.
Yeah, but Google has Google News, but they're not as quick.
Well, Google News is fed by what they're learning on Twitter.
Yeah, well, depends, but yeah, Twitter is always the quickest way to get news if it's a kind of sensational news.